Hey, I hope you guys and gals are having a great Sunday. And this is my responses to the questions asked for the COAD social and culture questions. For one of the first questions, what are your thoughts about racial identity model that most resonates with you? Where are you in the racial identity development process? Um, I was a little confused on this question because there was the Helms White racial identity development model, but there was also a proposed one by David Seuss. So I'm just going to quickly talk a little bit about both. For the Helms White uh, racial identity development, I thought I fit closely with the immersion status, and that's a shift in focus from trying to change people of color to changing self and other whites. I don't really think of myself as someone that's going to be pushy in someone else's culture, um, but as well as trying to find my own identity and my own culture. Um, and now for the next one, the process of white racial identity development, the one proposed by the author. There was a 7-step process, and I thought I fit closely with the integrative awareness phase. And this had kind of four main points it brought up, and three of them I feel closely relate to me, and one I kind of had trouble with. The first three are understanding the self as a racial culture being aware of social political influences regarding racism, appreciating racial and cultural diversity, which I all thought I fit well with, and then the one I was a little bit iffy on was becoming more committed towards eradicating oppression. Now, I feel more committed than I did before about eradicating it, and I would step up for anyone. Um, but I think for me, a part that was difficult about it was the word eradicating. I feel like there's a lot more I could be doing to be more committed to that process. So that's why I kind of struggled with that one a little bit more. Um, and now for the next question, how does what you have learned impact your life personally and professionally? Now, on a personal level, I thought the Helms one, the textbook offered kind of some criticism about it. And one of the things that kind of resonated with me in that was the emphasis on relation to other cultures, not enough self reflection and development of our own diversity. Now, personally, that's something I think I struggle with a lot because I've really moved a lot. I haven't spent a lot of time in one particular culture anyway, and being a white male, it's kind of in white culture, there isn't like a set defined box of like what culture is, um, and it really expands out pretty wide, and it's not very narrowed down. Now I have different stuff I would say I identify more with and have more cultural involvement with, um, but really just trying to find my own personal identity a little bit more in that in a way that I'm able to communicate it um, both to someone from a different culture and background or to a client. So that kind of fits in there professionally as well. Now, professionally, going more in depth with that, I think seeking more travel opportunities to a different culture will be an ongoing process for me, but I'd love to do more of that in the future to just get more exposure to different cultures rather than reading it in a textbook because I think that hands on experience is so much more influential and personal than sometimes reading it in a textbook can be. And one of the items I brought was my Barcelona scarf. I'm a real big soccer fan. I've played it ever since I was little. And I think being in a soccer fan, there's a lot of different exposure to a lot of different cultures. So I think really just seeking out those opportunities a little bit more when I have more of the resources to be able to do that. And the other one was being okay with not understanding another person's um, cultural perspective the best, but trying to seek to understand it more. Um, Not coming in and trying to explain it to them, but really trying to sit back and listen to a client and how they describe their culture. Because I mean, there's different cultures everywhere, and that people identify with. Um, so really trying to take a step back and listen more to that. Um, and that really gave me this assignment gave me a chance to kind of look more personally in depth with that. And then the other question kind of fits along with my answer before, but what do you plan to do to continue working on your cultural competency development? Now, the two main parts that I really thought of was seeking to understand my own culture a little bit more and finding my own identity. And this kind of goes along with moving a lot. It's just trying to find that balance of my own culture and things that I identify with a little bit more, and thinking those through. And before reading this chapter, I didn't really do that a ton, being completely honest. And the other one, I would say, is really trying to seek to submerge myself in more cultures, both locally and worldly, because there's a lot of different cultures in the town of Greenville, North Carolina. It might not look like that, but there are. And both worldly, it's kind of presumed, but trying to seek more opportunities to be plugged into different cultures so that I can have my own personal experience and understanding with that culture a little bit better.